there's two big questions, I think, when we're talking about black holes, supermassive black holes and galaxies. One is, how did they get there? And the other is, how did they grow? And in terms of how did they get there, we have a pretty good understanding about how you make a black hole from a really massive star. So after a massive star, many more times massive than our sun, explodes and it dies, it can leave as a leftover, a cinder that's a black hole. So we understand how to make a black hole that's maybe a few times the mass of the sun. But in the centers of galaxies, we find black holes that are 100 million to 1 billion times the mass of the sun. And that's really puzzling. How do you go from something that's a few times the mass of the sun to 1 billion times the mass of the sun? And so where do those seeds from those supermassive black holes that we find, where do those come from? Once you have a seed that's a decent size, say 1,000 to 1,000 times the mass of the sun or so, you can grow it because there's a lot of gas in galaxies. And some of that gas will fall to the center and swirl around and create a quasar and grow a black hole. But where those seeds actually come from, what those first stars were that formed those seeds, is something that's very puzzling. The other thing that's puzzling in general is what the lifetime of a black hole is when it's growing. Because when you anytime we look out in the universe, we only get a snapshot of what's actually happening. And so what we have to do is we have to go out and basically take snapshots of thousands, tens of thousands, millions of objects, and then try to put together a coherent picture of how they actually change over time. And that's something that is pretty difficult to do. In the lifetime of a galaxy, a black hole only lives maybe 100 million years, which is a pretty short fraction of the lifetime of a galaxy. And so that's something that we don't know what happens over that 100 million years, whether they grow all at once or they turn on and off, or exactly what happens.